All right, so let's talk about gaslighting women. Because that's what this movie is.
You're not wrong.
Not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Not wrong.
I'm not just gaslighting you.
No, thank God. We watched Wait Until Dark.
From 1967.
67.
I did it. I remember
Audrey Hepburn.
And
Richard Crenna. Richard.
Yeah.
And Alan Arkin.
Alan Arkin.
And that guy who's in so much stuff.
And that one guy who's in a ton of stuff. We didn't ever look him up.
Yeah, I don't look him up.
Whatever. Some guy. Some, like, kind of pudgeball guy from a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's inaccurate.
Alan Arkin playing 3 roles.
Count them.
3. In the credits.
Oh, he credited for each, just in case you didn't know.
For each.
Wow.
He is credited for each.
Wow.
And they show like a little clip of him in each different.
Oh, I should have watched the credits. What was I doing?
It was funny.
Sitting here.
You went to switch your laundry?
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Sorry, I'm bored by most things Brian says.
We hate each other. We're not really friends.
After this, we're just gonna have to sit here quietly for 30 minutes while my laundry finishes.
I watched like a little queer horror short, and it was about these like influencers who do like this YouTube show, and they're like lovers, and they're so cute, and they're like gay, and it's all fake.
Oh.
Like completely.
They're none of those things?
No.
Are they gay?
Yes.
Well, that's one thing at least.
Yes. And then, but like, one guy wants to be with the other guy, and the other guy's like, fucking whatever, I have this ugly boyfriend.
Oh. Well,
like, it's weird. It's so funny. So, that's us.
That's us. I am the one who loves you, and you don't want to be with me.
No.
You have an ugly boyfriend. You won't leave me.
I mean, you're the one with the boyfriend.
Joey's not ugly. I'm telling him.
No, he's not ugly. I love him.
I'm telling him you called him.
You're the one with the boyfriend.
Television.
That's so many people watch. The streams are out of control.
Okay, so
this movie.
Wait Until Dark is the premise is that Audrey Hepburn has lost her sight somewhat recently
in a car accident that involved fire,
which they don't really explain.
She has a thing about fire. Though.
Yeah. Which is because of
the car accident.
Right? Okay, but like also if you were blind and there were a fire in your house, I think that would just be terrifying. Like I don't see why they had to make it that.
Yeah.
Thought that was weird. Okay, but Richard is coming home from a business trip. He's a photographer.
No. That's not Richard Crenna.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. He's Mike.
Richard Crenna's Mike?
Yes. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. is Sam, the husband.
So Ephraim?
Ephraim Zimbalist.
So Ephraim, a.k.a. Sam's a jerk.
He is. Fuck this guy.
Is the husband of Audrey Hepburn, and he's coming home from a business trip. He's a photographer, and some lady hands him this doll that we already know has been stuffed with heroin.
Yeah, you find that out.
And then she's like snatched up by Alan Arkin, and Sam just has this doll and like comes home with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then Alan Arkin and this lady somehow track him down in New York because they know his first name is Sam. And New York is such a small town. Really.
Small town, empty streets.
Well, in the 60s, there was nobody there.
Empty streets. And taxis just like came out.
Just came out from, like, and it was safe.
It was to leave your doors open.
Leave your doors open.
Especially if you're a blind woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's hard to fumble with keys as a blind. So he comes home with this doll, like, apparently. And that, we don't see that. We see these 3 bumbling idiots come into the house that's been left alone.
One is very good looking.
Yeah, Richard.
Richard is a
Richard's a fox.
Oof. Oof. Oof.
Good looking guy.
Choke me.
Good looking guy.
Moving on.
And you know what? He seems like sort of a nice guy for a little bit of a murderer.
Right.
I think he's a little bit of
Isn't that just men?
But he seems like a pretty nice guy.
He's a pretty nice guy. He killed 10 people, but he's a pretty nice guy.
Only 3, so what's the big deal? So they are in the house and no one else is there, and they're kind of they're looking for this doll that's stuffed with heroin. And Alan Arkin's already been there.
Like beatnik and weird.
Yeah, he's so weird.
He
has this hair that is like one.
It's like
piece.
Beatles hair
meets Vidal Sassoon.
Yes, and like a coffee shop poetry slam.
Poetry slam, absolutely. I approve of your description. Okay, so. And Alan Arkin is immediately the evilest of the 3.
Yeah.
We see that right off the bat.
Yes. Yes. Well, he brought disguises. And evil comes with disguises.
Yeah. The guise of not evil.
Mm-hmm.
So he's telling them that the doll's somewhere in the house and they have to get it back, and he's devised sort of a plan that seems really complicated, and then the plan proceeds because it's outrageously complicated.
It is so ridiculous.
I guess because they've killed this woman and they're trying to get they've killed the lady who passed the doll off.
She was in a closet in the house.
Elron. What's his name? Sam, but what's his? Eon?
Ephraim.
Nora Ephraim?
No, like Zimbalist. I think he's Stephanie Zimbalist's dad, and she was an actress in the 80s.
Okay.
I have a lisp too with these things. I just got Invisalign, so if you see me like going like this, which I think I've done already, it's because I have braces in my mouth, and it's weird.
Can you say
Sally
sat to the south side?
Sally sat to the south side.
It's not bad.
But I can feel it. I can feel it.
The human tongue makes things seem bigger in the mouth.
And I feel like I have a big tongue anyway.
Let's
it's
see
like
it.
Wide.
Show everybody. I
feel like it's kind of wide.
I feel like
it feels huge in my mouth right now. So.
That's what she said. You said whichever. Whomever said it. Not me. That's for damn sure. Sorry, Joey. Okay, so anyway, Alan Arkin devises this outrageously complicated plan to retrieve this doll that they know is somewhere in the apartment, even though it's not. And they're trying not to get caught for this murder that Alan Arkin committed. And then he just hung the body in a closet.
Yeah.
Which I feel like you just want to get caught.
Just
you don't give any shits. No shit's given, right?
With her like Nancy Sinatra hair.
Yeah.
Just hung her up.
Those boots were made for hanging.
That hair held too. I'm like, he shoved her in a bag.
Death. And her eyelashes
in a
stayed
closet.
on.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, wow.
She looked great.
She looked amazing.
Beautiful corpse.
Beautiful. Gorgeous. Drop dead gorgeous.
And they took her out the front door in a rug. And no one saw it because the streets of New York are always empty.
Empty.
Except for cabs.
When they come around the corner. When you're on your way to catch a bus, a cab comes and you catch a cab.
To get to the bus. To go to Andover Park.
Asbury Park.
Asbury Park. Okay, so they start the plan. Audrey Hepburn comes home while they're still sort of sorting out the plan.
Yes.
And they hide all over the apartment.
It's fun. It's cute.
To give you an idea of how blind she's really blind. Is. Very
but
blind.
She keeps calling Gloria.
Because she can sense.
Gloria, because she knows someone's in that fucking house.
And also because it smells like cigarettes.
Yes.
And furniture has
been
moved.
So she's like, this bitch sneaking cigarettes, moving furniture.
In love with my husband, who is an asshole.
A total asshole.
Gloria is like 10. So
Gloria is like 10.
She shouldn't be concerned about her being in love with her husband. It should only be adorable. I don't know. That's a weird.
She's like jealous.
Yeah.
She's like
really
jealous.
Weird.
It's weird. It's weird.
Because she's 10.
I'm like, you are a 35-year-old woman?
Yeah, I think she's in her 30s in this. She looks 30s-ish. God, rail thin though.
Rail thin.
Still so cute.
Just gorgeous hair.
Pretty woman.
Pretty. Believable as a blind woman.
You know that's who that song's about? Pretty Woman is about Audrey Hepburn.
No, it's not.
It is.
It?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
No,
It's so hard not to laugh.
Really?
I did a lie. Okay. And I held it for a really long time. Then what happens? Oh, they're in the apartment.
Yeah, and then they leave.
They leave. They sneak out. Does she leave? Out.
Yeah, because she leaves again, and then they're there.
Sam, who she has to ask if it's okay if she comes to see him, her husband, at his studio.
She asks him 7 different ways,
to try
if she can just
him.
I'm like, just let her fucking come over,
right? It's very weird. It's like,
well, he wants to keep her like a pet.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's very weird.
This whole movie, the men in this entire movie,
toxic men.
You want to watch a movie about toxic men?
Wait until dark, and then every other movie ever made.
It's it's good.
Yeah, it's good though. It's
good.
Suspenseful.
It's Hitchcockian.
It takes a little while to get into.
I know the beginning. I guess I don't care about them setting up the plan.
I don't care about the plan. I just would like to watch it unfurl.
It can unfold and we would get it.
Right.
But the setting up of the plan is the thing that I'm like,
It's a lot, and I didn't even totally follow it.
Right, and the plan in itself, when the plan unfurls, I'm like,
you guys had to plan this? Why?
You watch this movie for the last 20 minutes.
Why?
It's a good movie, but the last 20 minutes.
Alan Arkin bring disguises into a blind woman's home? Totally blind. Disguises himself in a wig.
In multiple wigs and
different
mustaches.
facial hair.
Yes.
Very weird.
But he doesn't change his shoes.
No, and that's a miss.
And they fucking squeaky.
They fucking
because he plays Rote Senior. So he's Rote. His character is Rote.
Oh, that's his real name?
Yes. And then he plays Rote Senior.
Why did he use his
Rote
real name?
Junior.
And then that's really his wife. Because he says, I don't want to talk about Mrs. Rote.
Yes.
And that's really his wife.
So,
why did they use real
it's
names?
So weird.
Is Mike's real name Mike?
I guess. I think he used his real name.
Weird. Mike comes in. Let's see. Alan Arkin must light a fire in the apartment. Burn a little piece of paper that he lights on fire. Does that happen? Because she's freaking out.
Yes. Well, because her husband was in the house too.
Right.
And he had a cigarette and put the cigarette out in there.
On paper.
On something. So I think it's the husband that did it. I think he just kind of got lucky because I think he was coming over there anyway.
Right.
To be oh, I'm a friend of your husband's and charm her, and then that just kind of happened.
And instead he saved her life, which really embiggens her soul.
Immediately trusts him.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know you, do I? No, I'm a friend of Sam's.
From the Marines.
Yes.
And he even sees himself in a picture where he's put on some weight since then.
Liar. That's all.
He's a liar.
He's not even looking at the wall of pictures.
Yeah.
He's looking in the kitchen.
Which, I think she could tell which way he was looking. I feel like she really ignores all the red flags about Mike.
Right, because if I'm talking like this, it sounds different than when I'm talking like this.
Right. I would know that you were looking at me versus not looking at me as a non-blind person. And so that was a little...
Katie kept saying a blind earlier, and so it just made us laugh.
I can't decide if that's right.
I don't think it is at all.
It's politically not, or just across the board?
I just think across the board. It's just
if someone is blind,
they are
blind.
They are blind, but it's
they aren't a blind
because it's not all they are.
Okay.
They're a person.
A person. A blind. person, but that's like you'd assume that. Person is assumed. Okay, so anyway, Mike comes in and saves her life from the fire that doesn't really exist. And
I mean, she is freaking out.
She's freaking out because of the eyesight loss caused by fire.
Car accident. Fire.
She's not burned at all. I can't figure.
There's a couple things in this.
There's a couple things.
I'm like, you couldn't make one of the guys nice. I guess Mike at the end is nice.
He's gonna let her go.
He's the nice guy.
Which doesn't make any sense. Why would he let her? After all this, he's like, forget it. She's a swell kid. We'll just leave her alone.
I mean, she puts up a hell of a fight.
She does put up a hell of a fight. So, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
So he saves your life, blah blah blah, and then is that when the police come? Sergeant Carmichael Cardigan.
No, isn't that when the Krypton? I have no idea. That's when the dad comes in, right? Rote
okay,
Senior.
yes. Rote Senior comes in, and he like storms in, and it's also Alan Arkin, which even in the disguise, honestly, is obvious.
Because Mike leaves, and then the guy runs in. Rote Senior runs in,
and like
ruffles
flails and ruffles, and
they gaslight this woman so hard.
There it is. I knew it. That's the proof, and I'm gonna show it to them.
He like takes their wedding photo
and runs out of the apartment, and she's like, "Oh no!"
But I guess if he just came in and was like, "Give me the heroin doll," then we wouldn't have a movie,
right? And she'd still be like,
"What?
I don't know what it is." There is no doll.
I mean, she really doesn't know where.
She really doesn't. Look, pretty much the whole time. Although, had she used her marbles,
I mean,
she's a pretty smart lady. She would have probably pieced it together, especially since she hated that kid.
I know, brat.
Yeah. Plus, she's trying to.
And she's in love with her husband. So of course she would take the doll.
Yeah.
That her husband got.
Of course.
Because she's in love with him.
She's in love with him as a 10-year-old.
So that's Gloria. Gloria has the doll.
Gloria, who we actually end up liking quite a bit, but
she's really great at the
end.
end.
We get it.
When she's throwing shit at her, I'm like, fuck you. That
she
is
Audrey blind.
Hepburn. That is a blind Audrey Hepburn.
How dare you? Incidentally, she plays an incredible blind person.
I think so
it's
too.
Really believable.
I think so too. And this was like a time where we really weren't gonna hire a blind person to be
a blind person. Well, we need a headliner, and I feel like Audrey's a pretty solid choice. I wonder if she trained with blind people, because they even taught her how to use the Braille machine thing.
Have you ever seen Road Trip?
Yeah.
There's that part where they go to like the blind school in Road Trip. And that, like,
what happens in Road Trip?
Funny.
Is that the one where he's trying to get laid?
Yeah, he's trying to get to his girlfriend, I think. I haven't seen it in years. Tom Green's in it. They like drive cross country to get to his girlfriend.
Is weirdly the voice of Olaf in it?
Maybe.
You know, the guy.
Josh Gad?
Is Josh Gad in that
Possibly.
Movie? Just weirdly.
There's like Stifler from American Pie is in it.
Naturally,
Tom
he's
Green.
in every dumb movie. No offense. He's watching.
I think
Sean
Stifler's
Michael
in
Murray.
it.
What's his name?
Sean William Scott. Sean
Not
Michael Murray.
Who am I combining? Chad
Michael Murray.
Who we talked about 2 days ago. So that's something.
Doing that thing.
Brian just got Invisalign.
My jaw hurts. I know.
From like messing with it?
No, just from them being in, because it's like it moved shit already.
Oh.
It just feels like it pulls on the back of my teeth, like the back teeth. It's like.
Or does it pull on them?
It pulls. It pulls.
Tell them what happened.
No, I think we've done it before.
No,
we've done
tell
it before.
them what just happened to you on that podcast.
Oh. So I'm listening to a podcast, and he is saying
pool.
He's saying pull, but he is talking about a pool. So he's talking about swimming at the pool. And I was dying because we had a whole thing.
And was it
in
not
Europe.
confusing?
And I was like, well, I immediately knew what he was talking about because it just like clicked. And I was like, oh, I get it now. And it like clicked. Because he said like when he was like at the pool and like he was like, you know, and I wore like, I wore a new trunks at the pool. And I was like,
the dress.
Oh, I hear it and I get it.
All right then.
I didn't realize I was saying it weird. But it was just funny. It was like backwards too.
Right, and it's the opposite.
Like the opposite.
Yeah. Okay, so that wasn't a tangent. That mattered to this movie. So then
Absolutely.
Where are we?
I don't know. We
talked a little about Gloria throwing stuff.
And yeah, and Audrey Hepburn is just like all in. She's all in.
With Mike.
Yes, she's all in with Mike. Road Senior comes in, there's the cop stuff. He's a dick.
Road Senior. The cop.
The cop.
And the whole time he's there, he's dusting.
Yes.
And she wants to know if
why.
her house is dirty.
Yes.
But the whole time he's there, Mike too is also
She's got
dusting.
She's got blinders on for Mike.
There's also a point where
Sorry.
Mike is like, they must have taken something. Go look. It's like,
Do you know who you're talking to? That's rude, is what that is.
go look. What a dick. Gaslighting.
And then there's like more cop stuff. I mean, this scheme is insane.
It's complex.
It is a lot of shit.
They park a van outside of her house, and it's next to a payphone.
And so they're using the payphone.
They utilize this payphone as if it is the police station calling the house, and they also call it to call the police station.
Yes.
And she uses it to call
Mike.
because he provides that phone number as his phone number.
Yes.
Later on. So that's going to matter in a second.
Yes.
Does it always do the 2-ring back?
I mean, I think that was an old payphone thing, because yes, it's done it like twice before.
If you call to the payphone?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Interesting.
Because you're taking... What?
There was an alert, but it's gone now.
Because you're taking the charge?
You're taking the charge?
I think you're taking the charge, because you call a payphone, I think you get charged for the callback.
Cents or whatever.
It's like the charge.
Right. Is that a thing, guys?
I mean, I remember payphones. I remember payphones in the 90s, and I remember like you could call some of them, but maybe not all of them. I don't remember in the 90s there being like the 2-ring back thing.
Right, but I feel like maybe we figured out the phone system better by then.
Well, yes, we got out of like this
the switchboards.
This thing.
Yeah.
We got out of that.
It's much easier to trace a call. Sorry, guy from Black Creek.
The call was coming from inside the house. It took me 20 minutes to find
keep
out.
him on the phone. I couldn't keep Brian on the phone for 20 minutes if I wanted to. I mean, I could.
Who talks on phones? I mean, we could talk on a phone, I think.
We could do it.
We could do it.
We work Polo, so, you know.
Yeah.
That's how we talk.
And they trace that.
They absolutely track it. From radio towers or whatever.
Well, now that we are getting a vaccine, we're
tracked. Down.
Down. I have to dab up.
You dab up.
Do I dab up this way?
I don't know.
Is this like the gay way? Like if it's to the right, it's gay. Remember like
this.
the earrings? Remember the earring thing?
Yeah.
If you have an ear in your right ear, gay.
Jesse had his right ear pierced in elementary school, and everyone made fun of him for being gay.
When I put
absolutely crushing for him.
So I
had
like
he's gay.
And then in high school, I had like the cartilage pierced in my right ear, and then this ear pierced.
Badass.
So gay.
Did you ever do the eyebrow?
No. I've always wanted to do the septum, but I probably never will.
You could do this thing.
I know, I thought about that too. Or like the Monroe.
Oh yeah, that's the trashiest piercing on the face of the earth.
I don't know. Is a belly button ring not considered trashy
But
anymore?
the Monroe is so trashy.
It is trashy. And
Tongue piercing also
most of the girls
trashy.
I knew that had a Monroe
also
had a belly
button
button pierced. And like bad like garage tattoos.
Yes. Yes.
Gotta have that cross right here in your thumb.
A girl that I knew who had
Skin.
Monroe piercings had her legs tattooed as if there was a line from pantyhose coming up the back, and then there was like a little bow at the top.
I hate that tattoo.
It was so stupid.
I really had like a cross here and Live in La Vida Loca on the other side.
I want Live in La Vida Loca tattooed anywhere on me. On my forehead. I don't even care.
Trash.
Oh god, that's incredible. Live in La Vida
The
Loca.
Monroe. She might have had like a lip piercing too. And a Monroe and a belly button ring.
She seems like she's probably really successful now. Okay.
I feel like her earlobes are this big now. You know?
Oh,
I think she's like did that.
So did Anthony, but then he regretted it. Tracy's Anthony.
Oh. I'm like, who?
Anthony Taylor, the producer of those pictures from an iPhone 12 that are all over the city by Anthony Taylor. I don't know why I'm happy about it because I didn't like him either.
I don't like him.
But Tracy has to see it. We don't talk about her. It's fine.
She's dumb.
Not even part of our life. Okay, so where in the shit are we on this movie?
I don't know. So Rote Jr. comes in and
Rote-
she hears his squeaky shoes, which she heard before when Rote Sr. came in.
Right.
So she's like starting to be like, what the fuck?
But then she tells Mike all about it.
Yeah. So she tells it because she has blinders
All
on for Mike.
in, yes.
She's all in on Mike. She's all in.
in.
And like, she's not like cheating on her husband. She just blindly trusts this guy. Sorry. I am
How else
sorry.
can you say that?
She just trusts him immediately.
With no doubt.
No
In
doubt.
her
There
mind
is
or
no
heart,
doubt.
She believes that he is Mike's good friend who Mike saved the life of in the war.
Yeah. So, because Mike is a great guy.
Yeah, and also he's kind of smart in that he doesn't tell her any of the details. He says that she'll have to ask him because that's his way.
Yeah.
Which is such an irritating man thing. I won't tell you how he saved me. Ask your husband to divulge any information he doesn't want you to have about him saving someone's life.
Because it never happened.
And then the cops call her house and he answers the phone like
Yes.
he fucking lives there. Like he's goddamn in charge.
Yes.
He's the man that's in the house. And then he's like, I'll take the call. You'll give me the message. She's indisposed.
And I mean, it's just like a lot of this.
I
Like
don't know,
cops
it's
and
just
robber
a
shit.
lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
And at some point,
And
Gloria
there's a
comes
lot
in, like sneaks back in with the fucking doll.
And hides it under the couch really poorly.
Because I think when she came in, because the cops are all there, and the cop is there, Rote and Mike are there, and it's Rote Jr. actually at this point. And I think she like brings the groceries in, and she like hears them yelling about the doll. And she's like, I have the fucking doll.
like,
So she
uh-oh.
like sneaks it back into the house. But then Audrey hears her. She tries to make up a story. And then it's like working. And then she kicks the doll. And Audrey hears the doll play music.
And she's like, you
had it. And
Which is
so
fine. And then
they go through all this drama to hide it.
Right. Why? Because the cop is coming back over?
Yes.
And she
cop-
knows, she's pretty much figured out he's not a cop, right? She's
right.
figured that
I
out.
think like she pretty much knows that.
Right. And she's going to call the precinct. He gets there and she says she's going to call the precinct to talk to Rote Jr. And that's going to like bust this situation wide open. But
So
he
of course
says
he grabs
has a way to
he
get in
grabs the
touch.
phone. He has a faster way.
Right, than the number. Which I guess.
So he, of course, calls the payphone.
Right. And what's her name? Margie. Gloria. Sees this, like,
happening. She
phone
sees
changing.
this.
So she's kind of piecing it together also. She's watching from her apartment. Oh, because they had to sneak her out. Janelle just died.
Are you okay? Something fell. Oh, I thought it was your laundry detergent. Was it on the washing machine?
Yeah.
That's not.
Okay. Janelle's alive, probably.
Laundry detergent's
We're not
fine.
going to go up and check.
Who cares?
There's a lot of stairs. I hope my detergent's not spilling out all over.
I hope it's not either.
Do you want to pause it?
Oh, God. I guess. We're live.
Oh, here's my butt. Okay.
Hey.
Hi. Nobody's dead, and my detergent is spilling. Okay, so they sneak Gloria out. She's in her apartment. She's sort of watching the phone situation happen.
Yes. And then, like, there's, like, the cop leaves.
She tippity taps on a pipe. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
There's, like, yes. And because, like, Rote comes in with Mike, and they're just by the door. They're not making any noise. She doesn't know they're there. And he, like, takes her cane and takes the phone cord and, like, cuts the cord and ties it on the railing.
Yeah.
And then they all leave.
And Gloria comes and... Okay, so they've told her that there's a cop car parked outside.
Yes.
And Gloria comes down and she's like, would you know those men, Audrey is to Gloria, would you know those men if you saw them again? Can you look out into the cop car and see if that's Rote out there? And she said there's not a cop car out there. And this blows the whole thing wide open.
It blows it. She just, like,
she fucking knows, except for Mike, that everything is off. I feel like they all showed up at the same time.
So, like,
do the math, Audrey.
They'll leave. She taps on the pipes, and Gloria comes down, sneaks down and sees that the cop guy is walking back and forth in front of the door, and
Audrey Hepburn has sent the other 2 guys to her husband's studio because she lies and tells them that's where the doll is.
Yes. Because
she's called Mike and told him that she knows where the doll is, and then she realizes because the phone rings back.
She says she has the doll.
Right.
And then they come in and she's like, it's at
the studio.
Yeah, it's at the
Gloria,
studio.
the little girl who helps her, saw it at the studio when she was doing an errand.
Yeah, because she was, like, just there.
So Gloria comes back down.
And she, like, gets her to go to the bus station.
Yeah, to go find
To go meet every bus that comes in.
Stay there all night if you have to.
From Asbury
10-year-old
Park.
in New York. Because
It's safe. It's safe.
It's empty.
Empty streets.
Easy to find him at a bus.
There's obviously no crime being done in this city except for in this one
They
apartment.
even joke about how often people are murdered at the beginning. Like, do you really fear for your life? And she's like, no. But there's murders all the time. They joke about it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Anyway, this girl's mom is a hooker and her dad is, like, out of the picture. But previously, I think, was abusive because he knew that if he threw things that weren't breakable, they wouldn't break. They'd just make a lot of noise.
Yes.
She learned that from him, which we learned when she threw stuff all over the place.
Yes. But she's great now.
She's great.
So she runs off.
Not beautiful, though.
She sneaks out to the bus station, and the cop guy, I'd be like, excuse me, who the fuck are you? Because he, like, stops her, goes through her
grabs her bag and goes through it. Yeah.
And, and so she gets out.
She's a good little liar. She's like, I'm a Girl Scout. I'm selling Girl Scout cookies. She put cookies in the bag like a genius. I get points for however many cookies I sell.
Yeah.
So
she's going to have to just go get points from someone else because he's being a dick.
And then she signals to Audrey Hepburn that she's gotten away by dragging her umbrella along the wrought iron fence.
Yes.
And it's like, down the street.
And so she's off to the bus station.
And Audrey Hepburn's like, I'm calling the police. Bum, bum, bum.
So he does the whole thing.
Can't call the police. cut
He
cord.
does the whole thing, and then he leaves.
Oh yeah, does he come
And then
in?
she calls Mike.
No, that's already happened.
Oh, that's
He's
happened.
Yeah, we did that already.
So Mike comes back. then.
Mike comes back.
Mike comes back and is like, how long did you know?
Right. And then she's sitting there and she's busted all the lights in her house except for one, and she's filled up a jar with something called hypo, which is a photo developing agent.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Which I guess people knew that back then. I guess. And then what? He's like pretty nice. He tries to convince her. To like tell him where the doll is.
Yes.
Do you scratch your tongue a lot?
No, it's just today because I got these things. I don't sit there and itch my tongue, but it was itchy.
Well, I don't know your life. I'm only a small part of it.
It's these things.
Brian just got Invisalign. And he's never seen the movie Rope.
Never.
Never ever. Okay. So he tries to get her to convince him to tell him where the doll is. She puts up a hell of a fight.
Hell of a fight.
And he goes, fine, you win. I'll leave you alone. Good day.
Yeah, because he says, like, they killed Rote.
Oh, yeah. And we see someone get run over by
and so
a
we're like,
car.
oh, okay.
Full Suge Knight.
Suge Knight.
Back and forth.
Just boom.
Back and forth. They're dead.
And so he's leaving, and then all of a sudden he's stabbed in the back.
Stabbed.
And Rote walks in because obviously he didn't fucking get run over. It was the other guy, the cop guy, Carmichael. Compton.
Cardigan.
Carahan. Critten. I don't know why I keep going really Critten.
Critigan.
It seemed like they were saying something really weird.
Well, I think Critigan.
Like Captain. But they were calling him Sergeant.
Sergeant Kraken.
Cunningham?
That's a normal last name. Crunningham.
Canning.
Canahan.
Callahan.
We've probably said it.
It's one of those.
So Rote comes in, and he's not nice.
He's not fucking nice.
Although I don't understand why Mike was just gonna let her go and give up on the whole doll thing. That seems like
I don't because it wasn't his deal,
right?
He had nothing to do with it until he got hired.
And they already got this $400 or something.
Yeah.
So they were like, whatever, we're out of here. We're not going to get pinned with this murder. We wiped this apartment down. Except he's gone through the entire apartment with her. I guess he's wearing gloves.
He's wearing gloves this time now.
Yes.
Like.
Okay. So Rittenhauer is dead. Right. Alan Arkin is there, and he is mean. What happened? She smashed all the lights. That's still happening.
She smashed except for the one, and then he like said stuff like.
Oh, he pours gasoline all over the house.
Yeah, he pours gasoline all over the house.
And like puts fire next to her face.
Yeah, and then he tells her. He just threatens her constantly. Right. And then finally, she's like, I'll get you the doll.
She trips
just don't
over
hurt
Mike.
me. And then, of course, he's, gonna go rape her.
Right.
He's gonna, rape and kill her.
Right.
To
and
go to the
she
bedroom.
blinds him. Or she splashes the
She, puts the hypo thing in his face. She throws that.
Which actually, doesn't do very much.
No, it hurts him. And then she takes the gasoline.
And pours it all over him because he was lighting matches.
Yes.
And then she starts lighting matches.
Yes.
And it's like...
And then is making him tap her cane on the floor so she knows where he is. He keeps moving. She keeps moving towards the door. And then we realize...
the refrigerator.
Yes.
And we think it's still dark because we're seeing things from her perspective.
Yes.
But it turns out that Alan Arkin has opened the refrigerator,
Yes.
and so it is light.
Yes.
And he can see everything.
And then she kind of senses that, I think.
I think that fridge turns on.
Yeah, she, like, hears it.
And
Like
is
the
like,
icebox or whatever. And she, like, then she...
realizes what he's done.
And, yeah, and she's freaking out. And there's a whole thing. I mean, this scene is, like, ridiculous. It's so good.
It's good.
It is, like, the hallmark scene of this movie.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, there's just fights and chasing and...
And he chases her from the bedroom, where we think he's probably gonna rape her.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Yeah, and she stabs him.
Yeah, she stabs him.
This is the scariest part.
She stabs him.
Tries to get out of the house, can't. Screams outside of the door. Help! Nobody.
And then, like, goes back down the stairs into the house, and
And she's going for the refrigerator.
Yes. And he fucking
leaps like a
He's
frog.
scared us.
It is terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Like, legitimately full horizontal leap and gets her ankle.
Yeah.
And she sort of breaks loose. And
she breaks loose.
Crawling towards
He's
her.
crawling. He has a knife, and he's like dragging.
And somewhat ironically, earlier Sam told her that she had to defrost the fridge and wouldn't tell her how to unplug it because he wants her to be independent. Which I guess maybe you have to do, but it seems like you don't have to do it every single moment of every single day. So she can't figure out how to unplug the refrigerator. His fault. Fully his fault. And so Alan Arkin keeps inching ever nearer.
And he's like trying to stand up, and he keeps stumbling.
He tips over this really lovely little armoire thing that they have dishes on. It's super cute. That I'm going to get for my kitchen.
And then she gets it.
Yeah. And then
she
at
pulls
the same time, we see Sam and Gloria in the police.
In the police car.
Yes.
And like we hear a scream.
Right.
She screams.
Right. And we don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. We didn't see it.
And Sam is like, "Stay out here, Gloria, on the safe streets of New York, you little girl. Don't come in and witness this possible murder scene. However, like her apartment is right upstairs.
Go upstairs to your apartment."
Some police officer probably should have taken her up there.
I mean, yeah, but we know how cops operate.
So instead, she's supposed to stay outside, but obviously she doesn't, and she just wanders through this maze of dead
And they're
people.
like screaming for her, for Susie. Susie. That's her fucking name, Suze.
Yeah.
And she's not saying anything, and we don't know where she is.
Because she's terrified.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, I thought she was going to be in that safe.
And I thought she was going to be under the stairs, in that little closet under the stairs.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I didn't really think
But
she was going to be in the safe.
know how to open the safe either.
I just thought it was a funny suggestion.
Fucking pulls it open.
Just with brute strength, opens the huge steel safe. Anyway, and she's crouching behind the refrigerator, and she sees Sam, and Sam makes her walk to him after this outrageously traumatic event.
I'm just like,
because he's terrible.
He's awful. He's awful. She was just through this fucking horrific ordeal.
You can see
again
that she's
in
had
her
to
life.
Kill someone.
Yes.
She was just blinded a year ago.
And like,
which is when they met.
Yeah, and then he immediately
they
married
known
her.
Each other that long.
He like immediately.
Immediately.
Because that's what you did.
And then put her in blind school. And now she has to be the best. Although she did seem to learn a lot from the blind school.
Yeah.
She did a really good job.
And then it ends.
And then that's the end. They hug.
At the end.
And she cries.
And he's a dick.
He's terrible. We don't like him.
Every man in this movie is terrible. Except I kind of like Mike.
I also sort of like Mike, but he is terrible.
He's awful. But he's the nicest one of these awful,
the group,
toxic men.
Absolutely. By far the nicest.
It's like Toxic Masculinity, the movie.
Yeah.
It is like wild. And I like watched it quite a bit when I was a kid because Audrey Hepburn, gay. And like the end is really great. And I just never paid attention to all that shit.
Yeah, me either.
And I'm like, they are terrible.
I saw this also when I was quite young because I was allowed to watch this terrifying movie with murders, but not Doogie Howser or The Wonder Years. And with that, we will take our leave.
Good night.
Good night.